Why AA doesn't work for everyone. The reason it doesn't work for everyone is because most people are not willing, except for 5 out of 95, they're not willing to adopt a lifetime of recovery, a lifetime of labels of being an alcoholic, a lifetime of the idea that alcohol and drugs have power and that the human mind and choice and free will have none. It's as if the human doesn't exist. Now, in AA, in Alcoholics Anonymous, if you read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's an unbelievably depressing book, because what it does is it says you have no ability to think for yourself. So when you take 100 people, even with a variety of massive problems in their lives, and they may even feel hopeless and degraded and feel like they have a disorder and feel like an alcoholic and feel like an addict. Even with all of that baggage, they go into AA and 95 of them go, I don't want this. So it's much more natural to want to solve a problem than it is natural to let go of your free will, your autonomy, your ability to think and say, alcohol has the power, drugs have the power, and I don't. That's an odd thing to do to human beings, because alcohol, if this had alcohol in it, it doesn't have sentience. It doesn't have the ability to make decisions for you. But in the AA paradigm, or the 12-step paradigm, they act as if, and they talk as if, alcohol and drugs have sentience, that it controls you, that you're out of control, that your mind has an inability to stop yourself. They've pushed this agenda in a whole variety of ways, of powerlessness, of the idea that you can't get over the problem, that you're incapable. You know, within the book Alcoholics Anonymous, they talk about how self-knowledge availed us nothing. Well, self-knowledge is everything. You're the only one that's thinking in this relationship between an object called alcohol or drugs and you. You're the one who has a mind. This doesn't have a mind. This is coffee, by the way. No whiskey in it. Bill Wilson, when he designed the cult of Alcoholics Anonymous, what he did was he realized that if he could take people who were vulnerable and convince them that the liquid in that cup or bottle contains power, contains sentience, it can think for you, contains control, is a disease, which has never been proven, by the way. We've disproven the brain disease. We've disproven the metaphoric disease that they try to push on you and saddle you with. There is no disease of addiction. It can be pretty easy, if you take somebody vulnerable, to convince them of that for a little while. But eventually, 95 out of 100 don't buy it. They don't. They say, no, I don't think that's true. I quit when I want to. I do it when I want to. They start to own their problem, and then they start to analyze it, and they start to challenge these ideas, and they move on from it. So the reason AA doesn't work for everybody is because the model is unbelievably flawed, with propaganda, with mythology, with ideas that were made up by Bill Wilson and a variety of other people, Dr. Silkworth, Dr. Bob, and all the founders of AA. And then it was propagated through the treatment industry, and the insurance industry needed a diagnostic code, right, to pay for treatment. So they created the disease and they doubled down on all of that. But none of it's true. So people intuitively know it's not true. They say to themselves, I don't think I want to go to meetings for the rest of my life. I don't want to sit in a church basement and talk about something I did 20 years ago. I don't want to be the guru. I see these gurus over here, the old timers, they're called the old timers. I'm a newcomer, which is really weird. I did a video that AA is weird, because it is. It has a lot of strange ideas. And people intuitively know they don't want to be involved in something that enforces them almost in talking about something that was a failed area in their life and reliving it, rehashing it, and then listen to other people's pain. And the entire time, there's so many contradictions within AA. Here's another thing. They say, you can't think for yourself. Then it's also a requirement for you to stay sober, that you have to recruit other people as newcomers. Then you become their sponsor. But I thought you can't think for yourself. So now you're thinking for the next guy. So what we call that in any other arena would be the blind leading the blind. That whole contradiction, that you can't think for yourself, but you need to recruit and be a sponsor to somebody and tell them how to live their life. At what point? Oh, when you complete the steps. Well, the steps are this arbitrary sort of pseudo-spiritual religious conversion. So you have alcohol as the evil diabolical force. And then you have God, this amorphous God, the Santa Claus God that they sell, where they sort of take and bastardize religion and put it over here and say, if you sponsor people, you'll have spiritual fitness. If you don't, you have all these character defects that you need to fix. And it all becomes this sort of guilt-laden nightmare filled with contradictions. Now, I could go through all the contradictions, and maybe I'll do a video on I would need a list of them. I'm just highlighting some of them as I have the stream of consciousness. But know that it doesn't work for everyone because the method is flawed. Ultimately, that's what this is. It's a flawed message, a flawed model. It's based in propaganda. It's based in ideas about a disease that doesn't exist. It's based in ideas that you are powerless and the drug has all power. It's based in the idea that you're going to have this spiritual warfare between the diabolical force contained in a cup and a godlike force. And you are just a minion that needs to go to meetings and recruit. And if that sounds like a cult, that's because it is. This is why 95 out of 100 people leave, because they sense this. Humans are smart. They're amazing problem-solving capable beings. You are too. People will say to me, yeah, but I don't care. The meetings helped me. Okay. If you're going to give credit to the meeting, fine. That's the 5%. I did that too. I rewrote my own history. I built it into the narrative that AA wanted me to say. I became a guru. I became a big book thumper. I based my first retreat on this whole model for almost 10 years. And then I realized the more history I did, it's all nonsense. It's not true. It was all made up. And I couldn't ignore the research. People get over the problem at a much, much, much higher rate, over 5 to 10 times, depending on the arena in life, than AA. And it's underreported. Nobody talks about that. Well, we talk about that in the Freedom Model. We talk about how do people naturally move past this problem? How is choice and no disease the operative force in people's changing their lives? How does that happen? And that's what we cover. So know that there are much, much, much better ways to get over the problem. And frankly, when people ask me, so you don't advise that people go to AA? Nobody? And I say, I don't advise people to do anything, not even in the Freedom Model. I say, make your own choices, but what I do advise is knowing the truth and knowing the facts so you can make the decision you need to make on your own, not a sponsor, not a therapist, not labeling yourself as an alcoholic, a diseased person, a broken person, a person in need of recovery, a person living in recovery. You're not recovering from anything. So this is important. There's no disease present. There is, however, in cases that are really problematic and sometimes tragic, I lived through it myself, a deep habit that is built on the preference you have for alcohol and drugs. And you have to own that, analyze it, and challenge it. And that is all within the confines of the human mind. It has nothing to do with an outside force, an organization, some meeting you got to go to. None of those external factors are going to change the human within. Only you can do that. So once you understand this, you can move past the problem really quickly. So AA doesn't work because it's based on falsities. It's based on mythology. And ultimately, it's based on the idea that you're broken and that this contains the power and you don't. That's just simply false. So for the 5% that are sticking it out, that's fine. But know that it's a placebo, just like any other placebo. You're doing some ritual, but you're making the choice anyway. And you can do that within the structure of AA. I did it for a lot of years, decades. And then I walked out and said, that was a big waste of time. If you're struggling, we have the deprogramming from the 12 Steps course. Check it out at the Freedom Model. More than that, I just wanted to go over some of the facts with you. All right, everybody. My name is Mark Sheeran, and I hope you're having a great day. Take care.